So the first fireside chat, I will be the one to host, and my companion on stage will be Fredis Bikovs, the director of RIGA Investment and Tourism Agency. So yes, please come join me on stage, and a round of applause as we kick off, and your applause sends the message to those who are still chit-chatting and networking. So yeah, that's their cue as well to join in. So how are you feeling today?
Very good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we really have quite a lot of questions. Well, I speak like I have at least bipolar disorder. There are many in this head. Well, Fredis, you joined as the director of RITA. If I can just use the abbreviation, right? RITA, the RIGA.
As long as everyone knows what it means.
Yeah, so, which stands for. Do you know what RITA is? No, good.
You see, they
I like
would
the
think
honesty.
that we're speaking about some Rita.
Yes, and that's not a girl or a lady, or a woman or your grandma. No, RITA is RIGA Investment and Tourism Agency. And please remember this one, because in the days to come, in the months to come, you will see more of RITA. And so Fred is here. He joined as the director of RITA. Was it March? Sometimes spring?
Yeah, March, middle
right.
March.
And to some of you, this face might be quite new, right? Maybe you've never seen this person. And I do claim that this person is important now in our startup ecosystem. So Fredis, please explain where you come from, a little bit of your background, the path to being the director of RITA. Yeah.
Yeah, well, this is actually my first job in public sector. So I always was in the private sector, and previously to that, I mostly worked in IT and outsourcing companies and so-called global business service companies. I've been a manager of Every Latvia and Runway BPO. I've been for a while in banking and actually also in startups, but I'm a bit confused at what point you actually stop calling a company a startup, because I used to work for Volt. So I'm not sure if you still guys called it that way. So I must say I'm quite lucky, because I had very diverse experience, both in terms of corporate cultures, in terms of nationalities I worked with. My career started in a very Nordic and Swedish company, and most of my customers were coming from Sweden, Norway, and Finland. But then I had a customer who was Netflix. Everyone knows Netflix probably, and we helped them launch their operations when they started in Nordic market, and that completely changed my world, because mentality-wise, corporate culture-wise, it's something completely different. Both in terms of communication, in terms of speed, everything. So, and it was extremely hard experience. Americans do work in a quite different way than Nordic people, and maybe what we're used to. But now I'm very grateful for that experience. I think I had a bit of everything, and then Volt was, in that sense, from corporate culture experience, also really great experience, because the speed, how fast you need to make decisions, how fast you move on, are extremely high. We had situations where our volumes were growing during lockdown 50% a week. So you imagine the speed you have to go. And now when joining RIGA Investment and Tourism Agency, of course, it's a bit of a challenge, because the speed in public services, in public organizations, is much slower, because you need to follow a lot of different legal procedures.
I hear you. Been there, done that. Not particularly happy about the speed.
Yeah, but I hope that legally speaking, there is so much things we can do. But I hope that at least on cultural level, we could build a more modern organization.
Right. And then if we establish the chronology, right? So sometime in March you joined, and then we noticed, well, I did, that around June, July, the new strategy was adopted by the agency. And I opened that strategy, aside from being very well written and actually pleasant to look at, I noticed how many times the word startup was mentioned. Do you have any clue? You might have, I hope, right? But anyone in the audience, just give me a random number. How many times the word startup was mentioned? 46.
So you're actually sitting and counting.
Well, yeah, such a stalker as I am, that's in my nature. But yes, I mean, I love numbers, you know, and I was very curious about, you know, well, the document is quite comprehensive. So I was trying to locate where are those portions which are specifically written about startups. And I discovered that I have to read it all because startups are like, you know, like an integral part of it, right? So maybe please comment on this, well, startup ecosystem, startups being clearly a priority, one of the priorities for RITA, right? So what kind of maybe vision you have in this regard? Why startups are so important? Yeah, what is your maybe bet and hope for that?
Well, when we were coming up with the sectors, and as you mentioned, there are 6 of them, the priority sectors where we want to attract investment, we basically thought of 2 things. First of all, where do people of Riga will benefit the most? So where we can create high-paid jobs as much as possible in short period of time, so people of Riga would benefit. And secondly, how can we make sure that our job benefits Riga and Riga budget as such? And Riga budget, sorry for being boring, consists of 2 taxes, which is personal income tax and real estate tax. So we looked at the sectors where we can fulfill those 2 targets, and also where Riga has some kind of track record, because it's easy to speak about some buzzwords. We want to be, I don't know, go to the space or something, but you need to have some background, some track record. You need to have some talents behind that, and et cetera, et cetera. So this is how we ended up with those 6 sectors, including startup ecosystem. Up to now, I must say that the biggest work have been done was actually more in the sphere of supporting the ecosystem for different funds and programs. And this year, I'm not really sure, but I think the budget is still not near to what I would expect it to be when it comes to supporting the ecosystem, but it's much more than it used to be in Riga. And this is where we're actually in a very good moment, guys. This is for all of you who is pushing for the ecosystem, because the budgeting process starts soon. So this is the time to push that Riga and other public institutions would invest more. But basically, I think we created 4 or 5 different programs this year, and we're testing them out. We're looking how do they work, what's the feedback from the industry, but most importantly, how the industry actually uses it. And then we can, going forward, we can select the programs we believe are most effective and are supporting the sector in the best way.
Right, and I really appreciate how actually, I mean, I'm being part of this discussion all the time with you guys, including other organizations. So I appreciate how you really do that in a bottom-up way, you know, in constant consultation with us. What would work? Let's try to experiment. Let's try to guess, not just, you know, cascading stuff from the in a top-down approach. And here it is, take it or leave it. Or that's really good.
You know, because I was on the other end when I was managing a company, and we were trying to use some funds which were publicly presented as things that are going to solve a lot of issues and creates lots of jobs. But when you actually ask your lawyers and your managers to go into that, you realize that doesn't work because of some conditions.
Exactly. So helps having those, you know, 2 perspectives at the very least too, right? And then just a follow-up question. You mentioned, you know, about this maybe bigger ultimate goal, and fair enough, you know, of attracting more investments to Riga, right? And then spotting those priority areas which you could use as a, well, use maybe is not the right word, but leverage to, you know, to get the results. So back to investments in a way. So couldn't help noticing, maybe also because I'm part of it. On September 6th, there was the official launch of the, in English that would sound, the Riga Investors Consultative Council, right? So maybe could you explain what exactly is this working group, let's call it, is going to do, and how it relates also maybe to startup ecosystem, because startup ecosystem is represented there, which I'm also happy about.
Well, I have two targets with that. Basically, we wanted to have a group of people who are respected and known in their respective fields, and those fields are the ones which we're focusing as a city in. For two reasons. First of all, those people being respected and having experience in those fields, they have a list of contacts. They know the events international, they know location advisor consultants, they know leaders of organizations, and then they can give us insight about their sectors, which basically build up our organization, our employee competence in specific industries. That's one thing. Secondly, and that kind of correlates with the previous topic about the funds. I don't want to build an organization where there are a bunch of public employees who are not really connected in any way to the sector, and they figure out different actions and strategies which are not really connected with the real life. So I hope that this organization or this council, which is a bit fancy name, but yes, a work group is a nicer way to put it, helps us both in terms of being connected to the private sector, but also in terms of knowledge and different connections in the respective fields.
Right. So yeah, once again, I think that's probably the first time, at least I see the Riga City Council and now the agency as well being so grassroots in a way, you know, or we're trying to.
And I'm especially grateful we got a really great bunch of people in we're very lucky. And as the mayor opened up this event, and he said, and this probably message to everyone, we're very sorry that we're 20 years late, but it's better now than never.
That's a wonderful way to start, yeah. So we have now briefly touched upon startup ecosystem, investments. I have one more aspect to discuss, and then we perhaps will be, well, not perhaps, but we will be wrapping up, right? So that's the question I ask really a lot of people, and that's one of the biggest pain points here in Latvia, that's talent, right? And in a way, it's very sensitive, especially now, especially given the war in Ukraine, but even looking inwards, we just don't have enough, you know, we don't have enough students who are choosing this path, and would you have a hack to suggest? Can we somehow be leveraging, guys, you and what you intend to do to actually at least partially address this, to talent? How do we have more? And
I've been involved in this topic in some capacity way before I've joined Riga, but I wish there was a hack which you could explain in one or two sentences. This is what you need to do. But I mean, every discussion I have with potential investor who is coming to Riga, 80–90% of my conversations with them are around talent. Most of them don't care even how much how much this talent costs, or almost anything, except whether we can get the talent here. We have several recent entries to Latvia, and one of them is a Swiss service company. And they said, we're not coming to Latvia to save cost. We're coming to Latvia because we don't have any talents in Switzerland anymore. So we don't care how much it costs. And this, I think, is a major switch compared to, let's say, 15 years ago, when different companies outsourced their operation to Latvia, where it was very much cost focused. Now it's very much talent focused. So this is an extremely critical topic, I would say, for Riga, because if we don't have talent, I have nothing to sell. If I'm the sales guy here, I need a product that I'm selling, right? And well, first of all, we did from Riga perspective, I specifically added this to my strategy, that talent availability in the city is a key topic when it comes to investment environment. And this might sound a bit bureaucratic, but this is extremely important, that I have it in my strategy, and the city council actually voted for the strategy. So I'm actually allowed to work on that. Because the problem on national level is that this problem is not really anywhere officially acknowledged. And while it's not acknowledged officially somewhere, the task is not given to someone to work on it.
So the bureaucrats cannot start actual work, right?
And we're
like
discussing...
an elephant in the room. Everybody knows we don't have enough, but nobody can do much about it.
Yeah, and I feel like yesterday I was on a FISIL event in regards to this topic, and we were in a panel discussion, and everyone is on the same board, but I feel like we're just coming together as FISIL or startup representatives where everyone is on the same page, but we need some guys in this room who are making policy and who might be against. But one thing that we're doing from Riga perspective is now we're building a platform, a website called Work in Riga. Basically, the idea is that it should connect existing investors or employers in Latvia to potential talent abroad. So we're going to market that website all around the place. We still figure out which countries we should go, because obviously historically it was a lot of talent was coming from Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, which is now not the case. So I explored also what Lithuania is doing, Helsinki, and some other cities around. So there's some interesting ideas on exploring new markets. But then my second part, and this is mostly kind of a marketing tool, right? To start positioning Riga as a place for global talent. But my second part is, and this is my dream, which I'm not kind of, I cannot say when it will come into reality, is building one-stop agency for highly skilled talent. The easier way to understand it is, imagine now Riga have refugee centers for Ukrainian refugees, right? It's a place where you come in and you receive all the services you needed from both national level and municipal level in one place. So this is where we redesign the process, make it easier, make it faster, simpler for people actually to come to the country. But for that, I need also the national level to be on the same page with me.
Right. We would be happy to help as well in this process, because, you know, one-stop shop has become a buzzword. Everybody's talking about it. Haven't ever seen it really happen in a successful way. Well, aside from the refugee centers, but that serves an entirely different purpose, right? Well, guys, how do you like it so far? Yes, we are wrapping up. Thank you. It was sweet and short. Please remember this face and this person, Fredis, right? So we will definitely see more of you. And we have even a question, right? Are you sure it's short?
I feel it's pretty short.
Well, okay, I will just, share my mic, but make it short.
So talking about talent acquisition, what is your opinion on implementing more school programs with speakers and workshops for kids and teenagers to engage with, a career idea earlier than high school or college?
I'm just trying to understand the question. So basically trying to help decide on career for kids before school, or?
Helping them acknowledge a career choice, or provoking that idea so they start thinking about it earlier than high school, because most people start to think about it after high school, or the earliest at the start.
I'm not an education expert, but I would say that's probably a good idea, because when I was working in EVRY, we really required people who speak, for example, Norwegian language, and we have some schools in Latvia who are actually teaching Norwegian. So there is budget, there are teachers, and etc. But when we try to approach those kids, and it was like grade 10, 11, so pretty much grown-ups already, they had absolutely no idea how unique the knowledge in Norwegian is for labor market in Latvia, and how can they actually use that. So they were not really motivated in learning the language, but they were in extremely unique position compared to a lot of different schools across Latvia where you cannot get that knowledge. So I guess that this example probably is across different disciplines, and I think probably it's a good idea.
Thank you. We were not supposed to have questions, so sorry about that. An ambush from the audience. I love it, the engagement. So thank you so much. A round of applause for Fredis. Thank you.